started. On behalf of Interior Health, we would like to recognize and acknowledge the traditional territory of the Silk Nation, where we live, learn, collaborate, and work together. Oh, sorry, late joining us in the room. We would like to welcome you to Research Week 2018. And also, on behalf of our VP, Anne-Marie Biscoff, I'd like to welcome you to Research Week 2018. During the second annual Research Week, we'll host presentations on topics such as health science, clinical trials, research ethics, patient engagement, research data support tools, health equity, and indigenous engagement. We generate lively discussions between the presenters and the audience, and are excited to have people from the community and Interior Health attend various sessions. Thank you very much for joining us. The presentation is Wound Management and Research in Canada, Opportunities and Challenges from Thompson River University, and will be presented by Mark Rakobowchuk and Nicola Waters. Take it away, Mark and Nicola.
That was Kim, sorry. We ran the challenges here at the beginning, so I think that was Kim we were just speaking to then, or you were just speaking. So thanks for inviting us to do this. The title has changed a little bit, as you'll see. It originally said Wound Healing Center at Thompson River University. This is something we're working on. So what we want to do today is give you some background information about pushing the wrong button on my slides. Give you some background information about what's happening in wound care generally, hopefully to get people interested and excited about what's happening, then to speak about what we're planning on doing with the Wound Centre. Wounds. For those of you who haven't noticed recently, the wounds are everywhere. And I want to acknowledge before I go any further that you have permission to use any pictures of wounds that are in this presentation. They have all been cleared for use for educational purposes. And there's somebody trying to get in our door here. Wounds are everywhere, and we know that in just about every area of healthcare that you work, you will come across somebody that has a wound. This study has just recently been completed in the UK. I was just there presenting at a conference in June, and the authors of this study were keynote speakers at the conference I was at, and it was very interesting. They've just done a national study to look at the costs and the impact of wounds on the healthcare system. It's always been a challenge to be able to pin it down, partly because very often people are counted and money is counted in terms of the diagnosis, and as we've just thrown up a picture, wounds are everywhere, and many people with different diagnoses have wounds, and it doesn't necessarily get reflected in the monetary costs, which makes it a challenge for those of us looking at the issue and trying to get funding and trying to raise interest in doing research in this area. But anybody working at the front end of healthcare knows that the numbers are quite staggering, and I hear that about 50% of patients, or 50% of workload often involves people with wounds at least. The numbers that came out of this study was that wound care, which you can't see it very well on that slide there, but the kind of purpley one, the third one along, is the figures for wound care, the cost of wound care to National Health Service. And this is just another part of the study here where they took, they compared 2.2 million people with wounds with 2.2 million people, similar people without wounds, and looked at the percentage increase in costs of those people that had wounds. And again, the numbers are quite staggering here. So this has been an interesting update that we've managed to collect some of this information over the last few years. It really has not been available to us. Wound care in Canada, we do know, I've been a part of wound care research in Canada for many years. I was the Secretary of Wound Canada, the national organisation, for many years, and we've been trying to collect some of this data here. We're trying to look and see what is the impact of wound healing on practice. We know that our accountability is increasing. The records that we need to keep, the statistics we're looking at is increasing. The funding that we have available to do a lot of the work we're doing is decreasing. So many of the same challenges they're facing in the UK have many of the same kind of wounds. These tend to be the large categories, and for those of you who are not wound care specialists, these will be venous leg ulcers, injuries, diabetic foot ulcers, and surgical site infections. They tend to be the largest categories. There are many other type of wounds that we see, but these contribute to a lot of nursing work and frontline medical care work. And problems we have in Canada, and I actually presented on this at the conference in the UK, so I had to put some good pictures of Canada in there to get people interested and excited about what we do, because we are having a conference here, which I'll show you later on. But one of the challenges we have, of course, is that the geographical diversity, the rural areas, particularly in Canada, it's very difficult to apply some of the best practice guidelines and some of the work that we've done in wound care. And it's also very difficult to collect statistics. How do we count how many wounds there are? How do we know what's going on? Because we have a lot of rural people that are working in challenging locations. So we even begin to measure the prevalence and incidence of wounds in a country like Canada. We don't have one several areas that has been collecting data, and there have been several studies, and I've been involved in some of them, trying to collect numbers, trying to figure out the wounds that we in each province and territory collects information in different ways, and we've been able to extrapolate some of the data and come up with some numbers, but we don't have good data that really show what the costs are. So I should put that on for now, because that really says what I was just talking about. But we have got a lot of evidence about wound care. We've got some really good information about best practices, recommendations for preventing skin pressure injuries, management of wounds. Again, trying to put these into practice. I recommend that you have a full wound care team, and in some places that's possible. I presented in northern Saskatchewan at one point, and I stood up and talked about best practices and wound teams, and a couple of people put up hands and said, well, you know, you realize I just through a snowstorm for the last 5 hours to get here to see you, and I am the wound care person for the whole area that I live in. I don't have a team. I don't have anybody else available to me. So again, when we're trying to adapt some of the best practices to the diversity in Canada, it becomes really challenging. So these are all to be doing wound care research. They're good reasons to be bringing some of the information to the forefront that is out there. And so these are some of the challenges that we've identified. So we understand the scope of the problem. How do we know how many wounds are out there? How do we bring people together? How do we connect people in various locations? How do we pool knowledge and resources? How do quality while decreasing spending, which is a question you can ask of anywhere in healthcare, and particularly I look at that question in relation to wounds. And how do we translate knowledge bedside and vice versa? We have really good ideas that come out of laboratories, and people are challenged to get it onto information and into the bedside, and what people at the bedside have great ideas, how do we translate that into research and get people to act on those ideas? So we know that Canada has many researchers and practitioners that are advancing the field of wound care. Lots of people that have great innovative ideas, and again, as I said, some of them originate in the laboratory, some of them at the bedside, and various other places as well. And I was very interested in the last presentation. I just heard that there was a patient who was talking about seeing ideas, and sometimes patients are challenged to be able to bring those ideas forward. So again, we're open and interested to hear about any ideas that might be able to help with wounds, either prevention or helping to heal them. Canada is generating novel technologies to benefit global wound care. A very brief overview of all of the studies that are happening in Canada right now, and so we can be split into 4 areas: diagnostics and infection. So how do we know what's happening in the wound, how are we able to tell whether it's likely to heal or not, what we do to try and speed it up. I guess that comes into the wound healing one later, but they're very much interlinked to a lot of these areas here. We've got patient experience. We've got people that are studying what it's like to live with a wound, particularly with chronic wounds that don't heal or heal very slowly. It can be really challenging for people to live with wounds that are difficult to heal. So we've got people looking at the role of physiotherapy, of nutrition, and of frontline nursing and medical care. Then prevention. Prevention is one of the biggest challenges because it's very difficult to be able to demonstrate that a wound has actually been prevented. And that has been a real key point, again, when we're trying to collect data and we're trying to understand how the wound has been prevented. There are various groups across the country that are looking at devices that might be able to prevent wounds. And as I said, wound healing. So once we've determined that it is there and that it's challenging to heal or it's slow to heal, then we have a lot of people that are looking at various techniques and innovations that can help wounds to heal. So what we do now, well, one of the things that's happened is we have started to talk about a wound healing centre, wound healing research centre. We've had great discussions with clinicians here in IHA, and we're very excited at TRU about all the stuff that has been done here with the research team, with the research coordinators, and there's been in discussion about some of the potential studies that we could do in the area of wound healing. And one of the things that's happened is, as we started to discuss this, and people have got the message and heard that we may be doing some wound studies in the near future, people have started to contact us, ask us if we would be interested in taking them on as a particular study. So what we're going to do now is we've kind of split these up a little bit. Mark is going to cover some, I'm going to cover some, and we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of the potential studies that might be available for us to do.
Thank you. Sorry. So first, when Nick says us, it's generally her. So I'm really on the physiology side of things. So I'm the one who got expertise in the design as well as measuring outcome measures that are mechanistic than what you typically see, like fewer days in hospital or different aspects of patient care. I'm more interested personally in how the wound is going through the process of healing. So looking at things like the perfusion, the symmetry data, as well as finding novel ways of actually assessing wound healing processes that are going our way. So I'll just outline about 4 different studies that we could be potentially doing in the next several years once the research gets underway. One of the first companies that approached Daughters would come from Linen, which is a local company that produces these kind of systems, is what we call them. Basically, you can see on the image on the right, there's a specific area on the bed sheet that offers a very low friction in one direction for your participants, for your patients, and it facilitates the ability of that individual to actually change position while they're asleep. Or, in cases of the hospital setting, it can improve the ability of the nurses to actually physically change the position of patients who might be prone to experiencing ulcers. So company offers or has this product that's both the bedding sheet and garments that actually help with the repositioning. So the fiber of the garments are aligned so that you get rotational repositioning. Also, you'll notice around the edge of the patch in the middle of the slide, or of the bed, around that area, you've got areas where the friction is back to normal. So individuals don't slide right off the bed and they don't fall or slowly move down a bed when they're repositioning. So studies have shown that basically it improves sleep quality, at least anecdotally. And nurses, they found that the forces that they have to produce in order to get these to change position become a bit less. So it's more likely that it's a bit the nurses as well as those patients when they're trying to reposition while asleep or potential study that could be involving for linen company would be recruiting a lot of patients because the effects are quite small, and looking at whether or not patients develop pressure ulcers. Maybe 75 patients related to a control group where they have normal bedding, and then another group have this special bedding system. And be obtained from a human ethics research board, hopefully through the RIH. And funding in this case hopefully would come through, or at least in-kind contribution of the linen sleepwear, as well as the bedding would be provided by Comfort Linen. And this is also being teamed with through one of Dr. Waters' contacts with pressure mapping. You could actually look at what happens when individuals change position, where is the pressure distributed to, and you could get a large data set to monitor maybe outcomes based on what kind of pressures are being experienced. Just in healing times, or at least time to closure of wounds, and involve a lot of hands-on time. So you just basically put these garments on the individuals every evening, and they wear them for maybe 4 weeks. You look at the outcome measures for it. This option, or second idea, is this mesh fill, which has actually been developed by researchers at UBC. Dr. Gahari, who's in Australia, and the product is basically a skin substitute or a filler that you can actually apply to wounds that are currently not closing properly. Fills in the tunnels and voids of a wound, and it provides a scaffold of collagen, which is an important extracellular matrix protein that allows the cell to infiltrate that wound and hopefully increase the speed with which a wound will close. Studies have already been conducted, and now Dr. Gahari is doing this clinical trial into UBC medical hospitals. And also, I think they're looking to go multi-center to improve, obviously, the ability of their findings. So, for instance, we could recruit maybe 20 participants, each allocated 10 into a control group, and then one that receives extra care. Ethics could be obtained, or is already obtained, by Dr. Gahari and his medical group in Vancouver, and that could easily be transferred to Curiato. Funding would actually come from Dr. Gahari's research, as well as the mesh itself. The mesh build product would be provided by them, and it measure quite simply the size of wounds using transparent graph paper or more modern technology using imaging techniques. And then you just need some space to apply the treatment on a regular basis. So the study design of this is evaluate whether or not this mesh will actually improve or speed up the chronic wound healing time, or get rates of closure to see if it improves the early stages of wound closure as opposed to late stages. The study lasting about 20 weeks with follow-up afterwards, maybe 6 months later. Another technique that's been theoretically quite interesting is the low light level therapy. So a company called Envitalize has a device that you can see a prototype at the bottom on the right. It looks much fancier now and a lot more clinically useful than the prototype they developed. So basically, you apply a quite long wavelength light to the skin cells. This light apparently increases ATP production to the cells in the skin, which can change gene expression and alter the actual healing time in these wounds. So again, it's been shown in a couple of rather small studies to improve healing time or wounds more quickly. To use this, there are two techniques, or two mechanisms thought to be involved. One is increasing the cell's ability to divide and close the wound. The other is to actually increase blood perfusion or blood delivery and oxygen delivery to a wound. Again, 20 patients potentially seeing a placebo or a light that is on the optimal intensity, and another 10 participants where they're receiving optimal therapy. Again, funding would come through Vitalize through in-kind contribution to equipment, and out measures like wound size and wound healing rates would be quite simply done. Ideally, we'd also look at the tissue oxygenation as well as other instances of closure with equipment. So timeline in this case might be a twice-weekly dose until the wound heals, and then or until about 90 days. The phone that I'm going to explain is the Healx. There's an acoustic shockwave therapy. So you can see the instruments on the right and its application to a foot ulcer down low. So this is actually undergoing clinical trials at the moment, and it's another simple trial that we'd like to bring to Healx as well as TRU. The way you put stress on the cells and tissue, promoting angiogenesis, the creation of new blood vessels within the wound, and reducing or having a positive inflammation, the impact on inflammation processes. So the studies were shown to disrupt biofilms, which impedes wound healing, which is quite interesting. So in this study, the company would like about 20 participants with venous ulcers recruited. Ethics, again, has already obtained and can be easily transferred to Healx. By the company in this case, the resources they supply would be a hyperview imaging device which measures blood perfusion rates using near-infrared spectroscopy, temperature sensors to look at the heat within the actual wound, which can indicate some degree of healing. Digital recording, again, the company provides a digital recording device that can be used to score wounds and basically healing, and tissue or tools to measure transcutaneous oxygenation, so how much oxygenation is happening within that wound. This would be one of these research trials, a game where we're measuring healing rates, and after next follow-up, maybe 6 to 1 year afterwards. Put it over again to Dr. Waters, and she'll explain some of the other companies that have approached us with ideas and technology.
So the one that I have is a company called Curiato. This is a group of biomedical engineers out of the University of Waterloo, and they realized that pressure injury was a really big issue, and it is a big issue. It's a big issue. They took their biomedical engineering background and their computer technology, and they have developed an innovative smart mattress. And this is just of the mattress, and what it does is a hospital-grade overlay. So in fact, it goes on top of the mattress between the regular hospital bed mattress and sheet, and it will detect pressure, humidity, and temperature, all of which are known to contribute to the potential for pressure injury. It visually relays this information to a device that the caregivers can see. And there are several like this available. There are several that do one of each of these, but this is the first one that I've seen that does all three of them at the same time, and it's able to monitor all of those issues concurrently. And what it does is it allows caregivers to evaluate the effectiveness of their repositioning methods. So as Mark was saying, when patients are at risk of pressure injury, of course, turning them or repositioning them is really the only way we're going to reduce pressure, is to get the patient off the area that is at risk. Sometimes that's feasible, sometimes it isn't. That's a whole other discussion that we could have, and a lot of the work I do is around what is preventable pressure injury and what is not preventable. But in this situation, it has a lot of opportunities. I don't know, I've got a video on here, and I'm not sure if this will work. I'm going to try it and just see. Let's work, which is a little bit of an overview of how it goes.
Was the number one hospital in illness. This illness affects 3 million North American patients and costs upwards of $130,000 in treatment. Furthermore, this illness produces affecting most medical costs. This illness is $1 billion in annual expenses and increases. If your cost wasn't big enough, this illness results in 6 deaths every hour. So, what is this illness? This illness is known as pressure. That's good. This prolonged recovery time. Result in health complications and increased hospital stay. However, this problem is preventable. We have developed a lot of redistribution systems. The first, how to
back to my presentation there. Okay. So yes, that's the Curiato technology, and we just need to slide. They're coming back. All right. Hopefully see those. So Curiato, as I said, they've just they're underway in Ontario. They're just getting started, and I will actually be involved in helping run the studies that are taking place in Ontario for this product. And what they're doing is looking at long-term care and acute care patients at risk of pressure injury. The ethics, I don't know, my slide will disappear here. The ethics will be is through the University of Toronto right now, and will be, if we they want to also branch out into BC and do some trials here as well. So we would be able to transfer the ethics, and it does have a $1.3 million Canadian research grant that is attached to this project. And a lot of the funding for this has come through the Centre for Aging Brain Health Innovation. And the study itself will be in 3 phases. So phase 1 will be observational, so they will be putting the mattress onto beds and really just monitoring to see how is that going to cause any adverse effects. Phase 2 will be a randomized controlled trial where they will be comparing use of the mattress with control groups that are not using it. And phase 3 will be a more in-depth controlled trial where we'll be trying to demonstrate that it in fact have an impact in preventing pressure injury. And timelines for that are October 2018 to 2019, again with a view to expanding to BC. One of the things that is always a challenge anytime that we're doing research of innovation is getting them into healthcare settings, and that's why we're so excited about what's happening here in interior health. And actually, on a call yesterday, I'm a member of the N2 network, which is network of networks for people doing clinical trials. And Thompson Rivers University is a member of that organization. And a stakeholder meeting yesterday, and I heard from Ontario that there's new groups being developed in Ontario that are acting as liaison between innovative companies and frontline practice. And I think that we have a lot of opportunity here in BC to be doing some of those liaison work as well. Oh, they're heading, they just came in afterwards. I'll just look through those. So this project here, the next one I'm going to talk about is called the Slough Project. For those of you, again, that are not wound care clinicians, Slough is a very big part of what we get and deal with in wound care. Pretty much anything that you see on a wound that is yellowish is usually some form of slough, and in layman's terms, it's really the dead tissue that's on the wound as it's healing. And in a lot of wound assessment and management, we put wound into 3 categories. And to simplify it, there have been some themes put together where you can classify it as red, yellow, or black. So you're looking at red tissue, which would really be granulation tissue. You're looking at yellow, which would be the slough, and you're looking at black tissue, which would be necrotic tissue. So when it's no longer viable and the tissue has died. And without too much depth into assessing wounds, a lot of people have studied the red granulation tissue. We have a lot of information about that. There has been very little work done on the yellow segment, which is the slough that is produced as a wound heals. What we have realized is, for many years, that it really does give a lot of information. It's kind of like doing CSI work when you're looking at wounds. There's a lot of information you can gather from what a wound looks like, not just about the wound, but about the person that it's attached to. And we always have to remember that every wound is attached to a person, and it's always giving us historical information about what's going on for that person. If a wound is not healing, there's generally underlying reasons for that. So this study is an international multi-center study that is going to be looking at the slough on wounds, trying to categorize it, trying to come up with some generalizations about what we're looking at and to be able to define it so that when people have a wound that they're struggling to heal, they'll be able to go to a database, they'll be able to get some information, they'll be able to understand what it is that they might be dealing with in a way that will help them to try and diagnose it and to help it. So, this study, as I said, so the IWII, the International Wound Infection Institute, is an international body with members in the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK. And I'm a member of this organisation too, and I have put Thompson Rivers University forward as a potential site for this study, and we've just been accepted to be part of this study. So this one, so recruitment for this, tissue sample, so we wouldn't be looking for people as such, we would be looking for people with wounds, but there are also some databases available that have wound exudates. So in Vancouver, for example, they have been collecting wound exudate for a while and have a bank of it that we may be able to access. And also we will be able to collect it from wounds in people attending clinics and inpatients as well. So for this, the internal ethics applications in process will be standardized and passed through ethics boards of all the universities and hospitals that will be involved. The funding will be by matching grants from a number of industry partners, and this is well underway, and there will be significant funding available to cover all the costs of running the study. And resources for this, one of the big resources that we have to offer at TRU is Dr. Jonathan Van Ham's genome testing lab, which, because they were looking at biomes and the DNA analysis of exudate as part of this project, we've put forward information, and that's why it's been accepted as a potential site, because we'll be able to do a lot of the testing. So we would be collecting and analysing samples. I want to say Slough because I'm English and there's down in England called Slough, and every time I read this I want to say Slough, so I always have to catch myself and think that I should say that. So yes, there are multiple international sites, and the results will be collated and then used in form of international census document on Slough, not Slough. And they'll be running in early 2019 to 20. The next one I have here is Nutritional Supplements and Wound Healing. This is a company that's connected with me. When I did present in the UK, it was quite widely publicised that we were doing wound healing research in Canada, and I was quite surprised how many emails I got from people saying, hey, I hear you're doing wound healing research. We've got products that we would like you to try, and not all of the ones that have connected with us are shown here, but this is one of the ones that did come through. And this is an organic seed-based omega-3 supplement, which is an oral supplement that has been trialled in the University of Miami, with receiving hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and my patients in the study were post-cancer breast reconstruction surgery patients, and they did a controlled trial that demonstrated that the supplement made a difference to the speed and the quality of the wound healing. So that's the kind of study that they would like us to consider replicating here in Canada. It's very early days yet, we're just in early discussions with them, so I don't have a lot of information to put in here, but just that I have received the information, and again, it's a different area, nutritional supplements and wound healing, that is with some of these supplements, they don't necessarily go under drugs, the FDA protocol. So depending on what they are, we can look at different ways of potentially trying some of these with, obviously, with bringing dietitians and physicians who would be able to either prescribe them or have them as oral supplements. And I think this is the last one I have on my list here, which is the biosis. they have a product called Stimulan. And it's a pharmaceutical-grade calcium, which is the rest of the powder, and you mix it up and into, you can see this device here on the side, which is like a little kind of honeycomb beehive type thing. You put the product into there, leave it to set. It's all done under sterile conditions in the operating room in most instances, and then you pop out these little capsules inside any cavity that has been created during a surgical procedure. So, for example, if somebody has a cyst that has been removed, one of the challenges when something has been removed and you end up with a cavity is that those wounds are very highly prone to infection because it's basically got an open hole and nothing is filling it. So this is designed to fill that hole and create a biodegradable product that will then disintegrate within the hole, but it will allow the wound to heal from the base outwards, which is the optimal way to heal a wound. The advantages of this is that it can actually be combined with antibiotics. So you put them into the product as it's being mixed up, and then it slow releases antibiotics directly to the site, which will definitely be demonstrated to have an impact on the instance of surgical site infections in these kind of wounds. So this company has also contacted us. They have done extensive trials in the US, and they are just starting to be here in Canada, and they're looking for fine clinical trials to be able to demonstrate the effectiveness of this product here in Canada. So we'll be looking particularly for diabetic foot ulcer patients, but there are also several other uses that this would be relevant for. We would, of course, require ethics to come through TRU and interior health. That would be company, and this company too has an interest in providing an unrestricted grant. So that would be providing funding for wound care research in general that is not necessarily tied to the product itself. Sources that we would need for this, I do have a link down here which is just to the website, so if anybody does want the information and requires more information about this, I'm happy to provide that. It's not showing up very well on my slide here. And the study design would be a replication of study from